this video we will talk about smart motion sensors for Mi Home, common mistakes made when using them, and why I will never buy such devices again. Here are two very similar motion sensors from Aqara and Xiaomi, both of which are compatible with Mi Home application. You might think, great, I'll mount such a sensor in the bathroom, kitchen or toilet. It will turn on light only when someone is inside. Unfortunately, in real life it works terribly. First, let's examine the difference between these two sensors and discuss why they might not be too convenient and how to fix that. Let's start from Aqara motion sensor. What we can to set up in automation. Of course, we can do something when motion detected or when no motion within 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes and 30 minutes. Also, we can do something when motion detected and indoor brightness is weak. It has light sensor. Now let's take a look to Mi motion sensor. It starts some automation when motion detected, no motion in hour when 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Somebody moves and ambient light is bright, someone moves and ambient light is dim, and bright ambient light, dim ambient light, and something weird like time limit for non-human movement. As you see, in this sensor we can trigger something not only when motion detected, but also when the light became too bright or too dim. And now let's talk about problems and mistakes when we're using such smart motion detectors. The first issue evident in the settings is that the light only turns off after a minimum delay of 2 minutes once motion cases. This means that every time you leave the bathroom, the light will stay on for an extra 2 minutes. The second issue is even more significant. These sensors only detect movement. As a result, you will frequently encounter scenarios where the light unexpectedly turns off, for instance, while you are taking a shower, during dinner in the kitchen, or while watching TV in evening. How did I avoid that? In both the toilet and bathroom, I pair a motion sensor with a door open detector. And in the bathroom, it leads to a complex automations. In the kitchen, I used minimum 2 motion sensor to be sure that any movement will be detected. And on exit of kitchen, we use this smart button to manually close all lights. In the living room, a motion sensor mounted very close to sofa, and in the evening, when we usually watching TV, it turns off the light after only 15 minutes. And that's not all. These sensors detect motion immediately at first, but subsequent detections are delayed by 1-2 minutes, meaning many of the automation you designed won't work as expected. Another issue is that when no motion is detected, your automation turns off the light. However, the sensor often interprets this as a new motion event, causing the light to turn back on. To avoid that, in automation you should turn off the light, wait 2-3 seconds and turn off light again. Everything was changed, then Aqara presented the presence detector, but it was big size, it was not compatible with Mi Home application, and it required power supply, and the price was far not cheap. But now, instead of motion sensors, we can use this vintage presence detector. It's about $20 price, which is a bit higher than one motion sensor, but it can replace usually two motion sensors, or can replace paired with motion sensor and door open detector. It mounts on magnet plastic. This device is very easy to add to Mi Home app. Just need to long press on the button and then choose add new device in Mi Home. And what we have. This is mostly like motion sensor but with very flexible settings, and main thing, this device can detect human without any significant motion. As you see, it shows illuminance in the area. The light sensor works much more better than does in the motion sensors what I checked. And let's check what we will get. First, this plugin for Mi Home app has a very good user manual where you can read everything about how to use this presence detector. We have induction settings. If we enter here, this device has two different modes, radar and coherence. You can read here the difference between these two modes, but because I'm using this sensor only on distance about no longer than 3 meters, I left coherence mode. Here you can set the range in which this device will detect human. I set 3 meters. Radar sensitivity settings. Here you see in real time what's happening. It has two ranges, close range and far range. And you see the data in real time if I will move on few steps out of the sensor. You will see the changing of its values. You can manually set the time when this sensor will judge what's now on present. I set it to 5 seconds. You can choose another value in minutes and seconds. You manually can set the area which will be detected as a close section. For me, good value is 1.5 meters. You can turn on indicator light. It will light when this sensor detects something, but it will cause on battery life. They promised that from one battery it will work about 2 years or even longer. Let's check. I just bought it and cannot check. In illumination record section, we can see the log what happened last time with light in this room. Let's check what we can do with this sensor. Go to automation and press create new one. What we have? We can choose illumination, very flexible sets. This device can trigger some automation when ambient illumination is higher than some border value or lower than some other value. We can set something on case when this sensor seeing no one or seeing someone, and we can also use this no one in close range. As you remember, I set this value for 1.5 meters. So if somebody comes closer, it will trigger this automation. The same for someone is present or no one in the close range. Also, no one duration is longer than 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and also if some are present longer than some custom time. Very important thing in induction record. Here you can press energy value when someone exists, and in the log you see below you can choose your records when someone was detected near the sensor but it was false alarm. So this sensor can detect if anyone present here in the room or not. Does not matter are you moving or not. It is very important and very useful thing. And next very important thing, what it works very quickly. As you saw, I was set judge to no one present to 5 seconds. And let's check what will happen if we will go out from this room. Lights now is on. Let's check. Time comes. And lights turns off very quickly. We didn't wait 2 minutes like it was with old motion sensors. And now, after some tests of this beautiful device, I'm going to replace most of my motion sensors for such devices, because it works perfectly, and I'm very glad to have this. If you want to buy such presence detector, you can check the description to video below. I left few links to this device. Thank you for watching.